we put the pieces of the puzzle together, and that's what's really powerful, because we do something that law enforcement cannot do.
In a damning and controversial recognition, the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project has listed Tinubu as one of the world's most corrupt and influential figures in organized crime for 2024. This video delves deep into why this title was awarded and what it means for Nigeria. The Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, OCCRP, is a global network of investigative journalists and activists dedicated to exposing corruption, organized crime, and the systems that enable them. Each year, OCCRP calls on citizens worldwide to nominate figures who have played significant roles in advancing corruption, criminal enterprise, or the erosion of democratic values. For 2024, the OCCRP's rankings focused not only on individual acts of corruption, but also on the broader impact of those actions on governance, poverty, and human suffering. The judges behind the rankings made it clear. The aim was to amplify public outrage and shine a light on figures who have abused their power on an unprecedented scale. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's rise to the top of OCCRP's list is rooted in a long and troubling history of alleged corruption and organized criminal activities. This recognition wasn't based on recent controversies alone, but was built on decades of accusations that paint a picture of power abused for personal gain. Tinubu's political career began as the governor of Lagos State, Nigeria's commercial hub, from 1999 to 2007. During his tenure, he was accused of amassing enormous personal wealth through questionable means. Public infrastructure projects were frequently tied to companies allegedly linked to him or his family, with critics claiming that funds meant for public welfare often disappeared into private coffers. This legacy has fueled a narrative that Tinubu's wealth, spanning luxury real estate, foreign bank accounts, and business empires, was built on the backs of Nigeria's public resources. When Tinubu assumed office as Nigeria's president in May 2023, the fears of his critics seemed validated almost immediately. Among the most contentious moves was his administration's awarding of the multi-trillion naira Lagos-Calabar Road project, Nigeria's most ambitious infrastructure venture, to a company reportedly owned by his son. This decision raised alarm bells about nepotism and the potential for financial exploitation. Critics argued that it reinforced perceptions of a presidency determined to prioritize personal and familial enrichment over national development. One of the most controversial aspects of Tinubu's legacy is his alleged involvement in drug trafficking. U.S. court documents from the 1990s implicated him in a cocaine trafficking operation in Chicago, where he reportedly forfeited significant sums of money as part of a settlement. Although Tinubu has long denied these allegations, they remain a dark stain on his reputation, resurfacing regularly in public discourse and investigations. Tinubu's presidency has also been marred by questions surrounding his academic qualifications. Shortly after his inauguration, allegations emerged that he had submitted forged educational certificates to secure political office. These allegations struck at the core of his credibility and further fueled public mistrust in his leadership. Despite the weight of these accusations, Tinubu has consistently denied all allegations of corruption or criminal ties. His administration has dismissed these claims as politically motivated. Bola Tinubu's recognition as one of the world's most corrupt figures has serious implications for Nigeria. Already grappling with a history of corruption scandals and governance challenges, this international spotlight deepens the perception of Nigeria as a hub for political misconduct and organized crime. For ordinary Nigerians, the consequences are far-reaching. Corruption undermines economic stability, discourages foreign investment, and erodes trust in government institutions. With Tinubu at the helm, critics argue that his administration's actions only perpetuate a cycle of impunity and exploitation, making it even harder for Nigeria to break free from the grip of systemic corruption. Corruption doesn't just tarnish reputations, it steals futures. In Nigeria, funds that could have been directed toward education, healthcare, and infrastructure are often siphoned off into private accounts. The Lagos-Calabar Road project, for example, is a stark illustration of how massive public projects can become opportunities for personal enrichment rather than tools for national progress. This entrenchment of corruption perpetuates poverty, leaving millions of Nigerians to struggle with inadequate services, unemployment, and rising inflation. It also deepens inequality, as a small elite class benefits from wealth siphoned from public coffers while the majority suffers. The OCCRP's decision to highlight figures like Tinubu serves a broader purpose: to draw attention to the global systems that enable corruption to thrive. Corrupt leaders rarely act alone. They depend on networks of enablers, including banks, corporations, and even foreign governments, to launder money and evade accountability. For Nigeria, the stakes are higher than ever. Tinubu's presidency represents a critical test of whether the country can overcome its legacy of corruption or remain trapped in a cycle of exploitation and impunity. Public awareness and civic action will be crucial in demanding transparency, accountability, and reforms. However, as Tinubu's denials and the lack of immediate repercussions suggest, change will not come easily. The question remains: will this international embarrassment serve as a wake-up call for Nigeria's leaders, or will it simply fade into history as another chapter in the nation's long struggle with corruption? Corruption is not bound by borders. It thrives in environments where power is unchecked, institutions are weak, and accountability is rare. Leaders like Bola Tinubu are emblematic of a global crisis in governance, one where the few enrich themselves at the expense of the many, perpetuating cycles of poverty, instability, and suffering. However, it's not just about exposing these figures. True progress requires systemic change. Stronger institutions, independent judiciaries, and empowered citizens willing to hold their leaders accountable. For nations like Nigeria, this means facing hard truths about the systems that allow figures like Tinubu to rise and thrive. As history has shown, the fight against corruption is long and arduous, but it is a fight worth waging, for the sake of justice, equality, and the millions whose lives are shaped by the actions of those in power. This is not just about one man or one country. It is about the enduring struggle between power and accountability, between exploitation and justice. And it serves as a reminder: the more we shine a light on corruption, the harder it becomes for it to hide in the shadows. Thank you so much for watching, and please share your thoughts with me on the comments section.